The substitution method involves rearranging one of the equations so that one variable is on the left side of the equal sign and the other variable is on the other. For example, if the variables are x and y, as they often are, we rearrange the equation so that it says x equals something. And then we take that something and put it into the second equation, wherever there's an x, giving us an equation with just y's. That's normally very easy to solve, and that gives us the value of y. And lastly, we take that value for y, put it back into one of the two original equations, from which we can easily find the value of x. Simples, as they say these days. Now, you'll need to be very careful with the algebra, especially with those negative numbers. I don't know about you, but to me, that's half the fun. So let's see how this works in practice. We are asked to solve the equations 3x plus 6y equals 27, which we'll label equation 1, and 2x plus 8y is 34, which we'll call equation 2. It doesn't matter which of these equations we rearrange, so we'll go for equation 2. You'll remember that the idea is to change this equation so that it begins x equals. We write rearrange equation 2 as 2x equals 34 subtract 8y. Now all we've done there is subtract 8y from both sides. Dividing by 2 gives us x equals 17 subtract 4y, and we'll call this equation 3. Now you'll remember that's what we're after because it begins with x equals. So now we're going to take the right hand side and substitute it into one of the original equations, and we're going to put it into equation 1. So we write substitute 3 in 1. That gives 3 times 17 subtract 4y plus 6y is 27. Multiplying out the bracket, we get 51 subtract 12y plus 6y equals 27. Collecting up the y's gives 51 subtract 6y is 27. Subtract 51 from both sides and we get negative 6y equals negative 24. Now at this point I'd like to stop and dwell on this line for a moment, as many students don't know what to do if the coefficient of y is a negative number. And there are two approaches you can take. The first is simply to divide by negative 6. Negative 6 into negative 6y is y, and negative 6 into negative 24 is 4. So we get y equals 4. The other approach is to get rid of the negative sign on the left by multiplying every term in the equation by negative 1, giving 6y equals 24, and they're both positive of course. And from that we can easily deduce that y must be 4. Whichever way you do this, y is 4. So now we substitute this back into one of the original equations. Let's say equation 1. We write substitute in 1, giving 3x plus 24 equals 27, i.e. 3x is 3 and x is 1. So our final solution is x equals 1 and y equals 4. Now we can check this solution by putting the values of x and y in the equation we did not use to find the value of x, i.e. equation 2. So here's the check. 2 multiplied by 1 plus 8 multiplied by 4 is 2 plus 32, which is 34. So that gives us confidence in our answer. In some ways this method is more straightforward than the elimination method, but you do have to be quite good at manipulating algebra. But as usual, the more you practice,